Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be sitting down with Sean Michael Andrews today. He is a world-renowned hypnotist and speaker. You may know him as the world's fastest hypnotist on YouTube. He is a supervising instructor at the Elman Institute. He's located in Florida, and he's sitting down with me today. We are hopefully going to dispel some misconceptions and perhaps alleviate any potential fears around the subject of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Allison. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I think for people watching who don't know, let's just give credit to Dave Ellman, first of all, who he was and how that relates to your induction process.
Okay, well, Dave Ellman is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people, the most outstanding hypnotist of the 20th century. And he uh, taught tens of thousands of physicians and dentists how to do hypnosis and to do medical hypnosis. And this began in 1949. I was introduced to Ellman's work during my studies in hypnosis, and I was fortunate enough to track down his son and become friends with him, and learned a lot more about Dave Ellman, his work, his ideas, and he was the main. I mean, obviously, he was my hypnosis hero, and I use his techniques and I teach his techniques all around the world.
Well, I was going to say it's no surprise that you are the world's bestest hypnotist because Dave Ellman was also known for his quick inductions.
He was, as a matter of fact, he was known as the world's fastest and youngest hypnotist.
Yeah, so let's just talk about what an induction is, just a brief sort of description for people who may not know what a hypnotic induction is.
Okay, well, the simple definition, and this is just my definition, is a process, a ritual, if you will, that a hypnotist does with a client or a subject to let them enter or to guide them into hypnosis. That is what an induction is. But it's a dance. And two people are involved here, the hypnotist and the subject or client, and both of them need to participate in this 99% of the time. So anyway, so yeah, so this is just how someone enters hypnosis, and it's natural. The hypnotic trance is just a very natural thing with human beings, and we can all do it.
I like that definition because I always tell people it's a very synergistic thing. I'm not doing anything to you.
Mhm.
We are both participating in it. And I can only tell people so often that they are not rendered unconscious and I don't have control over them. And I thought I would bring in the enforcement, and that's you. So you can back me up on this. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I know you do stage hypnosis and you also do
Yes,
street hypnosis, and then you also work with people therapeutically in a clinical setting. So I
yes.
wanted to know, yeah, from your perspective, how would you describe the difference between the two?
Well, I guess the street hypnosis and the stage hypnosis and the hypnotherapy, the one thing that they all have in common is the induction, the going into hypnosis. Um, Now, I actually, it's kind of funny because when I studied hypnosis initially and I wanted to be a hypnotherapist, I did not like stage hypnosis. The thought of that was, I thought it was terrible. I thought it gave us a bad name. I thought it should be banned. And then a friend convinced me to do a show with her, and I got hooked on it. But anyway, but the stage and the street hypnosis, those were the things that I used to become better at achieving trance, at guiding the client or the subject into trance. And because of those, it enabled me to help a lot more people when I was doing hypnotherapy, because it made me a better hypnotist. It gave me different ways to help people enter hypnosis so that I could help them. So it turned out making me a better hypnotherapist, I think.
Do you? It's funny you mentioned the stage hypnosis. That's actually what initially got me into clinical
Yeah.
hypnosis because I thought I saw a stage hypnosis in Las Vegas. It was Mark Savard. It was years ago,
Yes.
and
Yes, Marcus.
I just thought if that's how quickly you can make changes and
Mm-hmm.
quickly and powerfully, I have to study it. That's initially what got me involved in hypnosis and hypnotic study. But I was going to say, how do you, because people would see perhaps you online doing quick inductions on the street, and then people who come to see you therapeutically, how do you alleviate maybe their potential reticence about, well, I don't want to, I want to,
Yeah.
I've seen you online versus what we're going to do therapeutically. How do you sort of explain to them the difference?
Well, a couple of different things. It's funny because the instant inductions that you see me do online, I don't do those in the clinic. I mean, very, very rarely, if someone is having a really difficult time going into hypnosis, I will use one of those inductions, but only with permission. But yeah, it's extremely rare. I'll use a Dave Ellman induction in the clinic because I think it's just more appropriate to a clinical setting. But yeah, so I explained to them the three common misconceptions about hypnosis: that you don't lose control, that you are not going to tell secrets, and some people think you could get stuck in hypnosis, which is kind of silly. Of course, it feels really good to be in hypnosis, and you kind of wish you could get stuck there, but that's impossible. So I just explained that to them, and do my best to establish rapport with them so that they feel comfortable with me and comfortable with the process of hypnosis. It's I mean, as you know, it's not magic. It's just a natural thing. They relax into this trance state, and then when they're in this trance state, as I explained to them, they're willing to accept suggestions that are pleasing to them. And if I gave them a silly suggestion, stand on your head, of course, they're not going to do that. They wouldn't do it. But yeah, and another thing, you made me you kind of jogged my memory. Most of the people who come to us for hypnotherapy, well, I won't say most, many of the people that come to us for hypnotherapy originally were introduced to hypnosis through a stage show. It's kind of funny. And they see the power of the human mind and they say, well, if that could happen on stage, maybe this could be useful to me to help me lose weight or stop smoking.
Yeah, absolutely. You said something about building rapport, and I wanted to ask you something. I don't hear it talked about enough, and it may fall under the umbrella of, you know, calibration. But how important do you think it is to sort of work with people energetically and people's energy, and also manage your own energy in a session?
Well, I mean, some people would call it energy and some simply rapport. I mean, I use a lot of neurolinguistic programming and a lot of matching and mirroring, and that, because at the end of the day, what I want to do is I want to help somebody, and I want them to trust me and to understand that I want to help them. And neurolinguistic programming, rapport building with NLP, is one of the ways that I establish that rapport with the client, and this enables me to guide them into hypnosis easier. And then another thing, I mean, studies have been done with psychologists, and they found that the most important aspect of the clinical relationship is, and when you're talking about why it sometimes fails or one time why it is often successful, is the rapport between the clinician and the client. So as the extent to which I can establish rapport with them really helps our relationship and helps me to help them. So I'm doing everything I can to 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 establish rapport with that person, so that, I mean, I want us to be buddies. I want us to be partners in their change work. And so anyway.
Yeah, I think rapport is so important for all of life too. Like in your everyday life, being able to energetically sort of vibe with people and
Hmm.
understand how you said mirroring. That's just I'm certified in body language and reading people too, and the mirroring
Uh-huh.
aspect of things is so powerful. And like you
Yes.
said, it's for people's highest good. That's why we do this.
Right.
It's for the client. It's not for anything about us or control. But you
No.
mentioned also NLP, and neuro linguistic programming deserves its own sort of conversation. Maybe we can follow up and do that another time, because that in and
Sure.
of itself is something that people, when they know what it is, they're a little bit hesitant. Like, what are you saying to me? What are you making me do?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it. It's actually just sort of getting someone maybe on the same page, or getting them closer to where they need to be, again, for
Mhm.
their highest good. Um,
Exactly.
so David Ellman actually worked a lot with doctors. You mentioned it before, and I want to know what your take on this is. So there's been a lot of psychiatrists now and doctors who work with hypnosis, a lot of neuroscientists who talk about it. So why do you think that it is still not in the mainstream as a
Mm.
modality for therapy?
Yeah. Well, I I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to um, this modality becoming mainstream. And the reason for that is that unfortunately we don't have any standards. There are a lot of good organizations, there are a lot of good programs, and a lot of very well-meaning people. Unfortunately, there are no standards. Anyone can call themselves a hypnotist, and I could take somebody off the street and they can just hang a shingle out there, hypnosis or hypnotherapy, and they can start working with clients. And so some people are going to get a good hypnotherapist, and they're going to make amazing changes, and they're going to sing the praises of hypnosis. And a lot of people are going to get a different sort of hypnotist, and they're not going to have a good experience. And so it doesn't give hypnosis a good name. So I think that's the biggest issue is the lack of standards. I mean, you can't even cut somebody's hair without being licensed. I mean, doctors go to medical school, lawyers go to law school, and they pass the bar, but we don't have anything like that, and so that hurts us. So
I
so
I agree.
unfortunately,
I agree, and I think it's a huge responsibility working with people therapeutically,
yeah.
and that's why I did everything I could. I went to a really good school. I studied for years. I got board certified, which sort of keeps you in check. You can't
Mhm.
just, you got to pass exams and have hundreds of hours of clinical work. And I tell people to look for things like that when they're looking for a clinical
Yes.
hypnotherapist, and also talk to people who've seen them, talk to people, get referrals, get recommendations. It's important that you go to someone who actually is qualified, because as much as the hypnotist is not in control, it is a response. You are making suggestions, and you need to be educated.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, that's a good thing though. We've got the internet, and people can go online, and they can Google us and find out, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, or maybe, hey, she was really good and she helped me do this and this and this and this. So yeah, I mean, if they're a savvy shopper, they can probably find somebody good.
Yeah. You get people coming to you because they've seen your street or your stage, and they understand, like, wow, that's amazing. I want to make changes. So they come to you for that
Yes.
reason.
It's funny, you wouldn't think that they would, because just because you can make someone imagine that they're in kindergarten or riding a bus, going to see a taping of Sesame Street, just because you can get them to imagine that, that doesn't mean necessarily that you can help them lose weight or get over a phobia. I mean, we can, but but there's really no connection. But they see that on stage and they go, wow, if you can do that, maybe he could do anything, and I don't, it's not necessarily true, but by golly, that's what they think.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying before. It's synergistic. So I tell client when people say, ask me who's a good candidate for hypnosis, I always say
Huh?
the people who are ready for change, who want to make change, and are open to being hypnotized, are open to it, because you will, not everyone is your client. I say to people who say to me, I can't be hypnotized, but I'm willing to try. And I'm not interested in clients who are trying to prove something, because it's
No.
not beneficial to them. They're not going to get the best out of the session. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's true. And of course the client you don't want also is the one where the spouse makes the appointment for them, and
Yeah.
but yeah, if they're willing to make the change, if they're willing to give it a go, I mean, we can help them. But yeah, it's well, the good thing is when they come in to see us for hypnotherapy, they know what they came for, that purpose. It's not like it's not like the stage. We can't just sit in the therapy room and say, okay, the person I'm touching right now, go ahead and take your seat in the audience, and then work with somebody who's really good. No, we got to work with what's in the chair. But no, I mean, generally when people come to see us, they came to get hypnotized, and they're going to be cooperative, and most of the time they're going to be successful, at least going into trance. Um, and but you made me think of something else, and that is I I rarely fail to hypnotize somebody when I'm doing street hypnosis or stage hypnosis. And the reason why is because I I hypnotize people who want to be hypnotized. When I was younger, when I was just starting, I mean, if you didn't run away from me, I was going to try and hypnotize you. And so of course I would have some failures. But now I work with people who want to get hypnotized. And so that's easy because almost everybody can go in.
Well, that's what I say to people when they talk to me about stage hypnosis. I said, don't, those people want to be up there. Trust me, they want to be performing. That's why they're chosen. And even if the person presents as very shy in their everyday life, there's something about them that wants to be performative, and that's why they're there. They're not being forced to do anything. And sometimes they won't go all the way. You'll see them on stage and they won't be comfortable swinging around a stripper pole. Not everyone will go that far. They'll see it, and they'll hang back a little bit, and that's what hypnosis is. You don't do anything that's against your moral code or your values.
Exactly, exactly. And it's funny because you mentioned Mark Savard. Mark used to choose his volunteers in a completely different way than I choose mine. I I I walk them through a simple finger magnets
Yeah.
suggestibility test, and then I make their fingers stick. And everybody who sticks, that's it. I've already hypnotized, and I bring them up on stage. What Mark
Right.
did is what a lot of other hypnotists do, which is fine, is he would just bring up 30 people, and then he weeds them out throughout the
Yes.
show and keeping the best people. But yeah, that's what I tell people, something very similar to what you said. I say, they have a license. They have a license to have fun, to be silly, and they're not going to do anything they really don't want to do. And
Yeah.
and you will see it because some people will do some things, but other things are just, no, that's not something I want to do, and so they won't. So it's good. It's a good way to show people that it's safe. You're not going to do something against your moral, religious, or personal values.
Right. I've had people say to me, "Oh, I can't do hypnosis because I'm a Christian or I'm religious." And I say, "Well, it actually is. It has nothing to do. We don't bring any of that into it. You certainly can, but I don't. So it doesn't really it doesn't contradict anything. It's
No, no, it's funny. I had people tell me years ago, well, the Catholic Church is very much against hypnosis. Well, it truly isn't. As a matter of fact, Pope Pius VI, back during the 1950s, actually issued an edict that said, "Hey, this is pretty cool. Women should be using this for childbirth." It's just, it's many people, they don't even know what their own religion's opinion is of hypnosis. They never looked into it. They just assumed that their religion wouldn't like it, and it's just not true.
And one can make the argument too that when you're in church, that atmosphere is very hypnotic as well. Um,
I'm not
the
going.
singing.
I'm not.
And that's not a bad thing,
No,
like you
no,
said, we
it's
go
not.
in and out. We go in and out of hypnosis all day. I could name so many specific times when we are literally in hypnosis, and people, it's like they go, oh yes, you're right, when you're driving and you can't remember the last tunnel you went through or the last few miles of your drive. You're in that hypnotic state when you're, have your phone in front of your face and you're scrolling and you don't really know what's going on around you. You're in hypnosis. There's so many incidents of it, and then you just come out naturally. So we cycle through these brainwave states throughout our day. So
Yeah,
again, nothing scary about it, very natural. In fact, I
right.
would say, it's one of the most natural forms of therapy you can choose.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say about hypnosis or using it therapeutically?
Hmm. Um, no, I mean, well, I mean, I could talk for hours about my favorite subject. I'm sure yours as well. But no, there are people. It's kind of interesting to me that people know about weight loss, they know about smoking cessation, but they don't know about other things that you can do. I mean, sports improvement, getting rid of a fear or phobia, just coaching. There's just so much to it. Anywhere where the mind is involved, we can help people. Relationship issues. Oh, yeah, it's endless, and a good hypnotist can really really help people. Um, I don't know. I just think it's the coolest thing ever.
Well, yeah, you touched on the fact that it's not just for things you want to fix, it's also for things you want to enhance. So if you have things you love, like sports, and you're good, but you want to be even better, um, we can increase that, we can enhance that, we can get you there mentally. And I'll say this too, there isn't I don't know, a elite athlete or even a coach like Tony Robbins, someone at the top of their game. Those people have their own coaches. I
Right?
have their own objectivity. That's what it is. It's having someone else because we can't be objective. We
Mhm.
have to only be subjective. But having that person outside of yourself who can make you even better. So any person who's at the top of their game in any industry, a lot of them use hypnosis. In
Yes.
fact, I see Tony Robbins using NLP all the time in hypnotic techniques. He doesn't specifically say he does, but he is using them. Um, yeah, so it's something for everyone and for
Yes,
everything, like you said.
I agree.
Yeah. Sean, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today. It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's been very nice. Thank you very much for inviting me, Allison.
I'm going to link your information below for everyone who wants to know more about the Dave Allman Institute, maybe see where you're speaking, because I know you do speaking engagements, and they can get in touch with you directly if they're interested in talking to you more. I'll also link your YouTube channel because it's really interesting to watch.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
So thank you so much again, Sean. And for everyone watching, thank you so much. If you have any questions, DM me. Again, I'll link Sean's info below, and we'll see you soon.